Hello and welcome to What's Cooking at Lajes today. And to answer that question, we have Chief Master Sergeant David Klink. And what is cooking today at Lajes, Chief?
We're doing crockpot curry chicken today.
Crockpot curry chicken. Now, I understand that you are the king of crockpot cooking.
I've done a bit. I don't know about the king, but I've done quite a bit of crockpot cooking.
Really? Rumor has it that you actually are the owner of 3 crockpots. Is that true?
I have more than one. I have 2 right now, so
okay.
I might have lost one along the way.
Okay. So, and we also have with us a guest. And you are Airman Jaden Rodriguez.
Yes, ma'am.
And what are you going to be doing today?
Today I will be making the rice, and Chief will be showing me how to cut up some onions and potatoes.
Cut up some onions?
Good curry
Okay.
chicken.
All right. Okay, so let's get going.
All right, so this is a pretty easy recipe, and that's kind of part of what we're doing here today is this, you throw this stuff in the night before and you come home and it's ready to eat. So that's kind of how I got signed up for this, and it worked for me as a long time. So the first step, we're gonna take the onion. If you grab your knife there, we're not gonna clean it. We're gonna go with the other ones first, with the ones like this. Now, one thing when you're cooking in the crock pot, you need big chunks because it's going to cook for like 8 or 10 hours. So if we chop this up real small, it would turn into just sauce, and we want some chunks. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to cut it, and throw it in the crock pot.
Is the crock pot preheated?
No, everything will go in the crock pot, and then I would go to the counter and plug it in and head off to work. And throw it in the crock pot. So we got to do that to the ones we got out there, and then we'll clean one.
Now this is a big crock pot, so how many onions are you putting in for this particular
I'm using
dish?
about 6 to 8, and that's also because the onions I have are kind of small. This is the biggest one that was in the bag, so if it was, if they were larger onions, it would be less.
Okay.
But I'm kind of looking for a layer across the bottom.
Okay.
And it's the first layer to cook down when the heat hits it too.
Okay.
So, but if they were much bigger, I might have to go a little, throwing stuff around, might have to go a little smaller.
Okay.
But
the trick is to make sure that it covers the bottom.
Correct.
Okay.
So, all right, now we're you ready to clean these?
Smells good.
It's already done. So you want to cut off enough off of each side that it looks like, how an onion would on a sandwich. If you don't get enough, you got enough. If you didn't get enough, you'd know it because it would look a little funny on the end. And so in there, same on there. All right, and then connect the dots from the top to the bottom, and you peel it. You're looking to take the top layer off the onion when you peel it.
So you actually got to go a little
Cut
deep.
through, cut through one layer, and then you should be able to peel it. You end up with this. Yep, you got it. Peel it around. I used to work at Chuck E. Cheese cutting onions, so that's part of the trick. But then the same thing with this. Cut it the same way we did the other ones and toss it in the pot. All right, so we're gonna do a couple seasonings now before we go to the potatoes. So this is the curry, this is the starter mix. It's not the full-blown thing. We have some curry powder there as well. But like I was telling you, it looks like a chocolate bar. I mean, there's nothing to that, and this is gonna melt in the crock pot. And it's a great starter. It's kind of a little bit of a cheat if you don't have time to do it in a pan and all of that.
Isn't this all about saving time?
It is. I'll throw it in there and go. I'd be halfway done. If I wasn't talking, I would be halfway through this already and ready to go.
All right. Oh boy, oh that smells wonderful.
Like I said, it's a great,
Wow.
I found it from a friend of mine who was Jamaican and was like, that's the way to go if you're in a hurry. And I was usually in a hurry.
And the cool thing is you can get all this at the commissary.
Every last bit of this came from the commissary, and it was there was nothing that was even hard. It was there. Yep, got it all. So the other one is I like to do the garlic salt. I don't use regular salt. I love garlic salt too. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to get just a thin layer over. I'd say that's about 2 tablespoons if people actually make it. But I tend to I cook with what I got. I know about how hot I want it to be. So that does the salt in that, but I'm not going to do the pepper or the curry powder or the rest until that's going to go on the top where we put the chicken. So the next step is to get the potatoes in. So you can start scooping some of these, and we're going to put all those potatoes in.
Skins on. That's
skins
great.
on.
Yeah.
Once again, and that's if we cut it all up into cubes, it would turn into mashed potatoes.
So they
you
have to
need
be
something to hold it together.
And about the same size as the onions.
Yes. And so we're gonna do our same bit of business here. You're just looking to get the size chunks that we have there. There's no real method to it. If you think it's wide enough to be cut, cut it in half. But you're just trying to get equal sizes. Like that one, give that one a cut in half because that's kind of the other way. There you go, because it's thicker than all the rest. Yep, and that's to keep them cooking evenly. So if you can get that other one that you got, and I got these, we're done with the potatoes. And you can see this is pretty inexpensive. I mean, potatoes are cheap, the onions don't cost much at all, and the chicken, it's like $4 a bag. So there's nothing here, and you know, and this size pot's gonna feed quite a few people.
So that's the other great thing about cooking in a crock pot is that you can use inexpensive cuts of meat. And because you cook it for so long, it becomes terrifically tender,
Absolutely.
Right? And so it's inexpensive, it's easy, fast. And you can feed a lot of people. What's not to love?
No, all of those things were key for me. So
Right.
our next step is going to be the chicken, and if you can see here, the chicken's still frozen. I mean, this is right out of the bag. These are leg quarters, and that's kind of important. Is there has to be bones in the chicken that you use. I mean, you could do it with chicken breast, but it would be plain. You're trying to make like a broth-like soup.
So that's what the bones create.
That's what the bones, the sauce comes out of the bones, gets into the sauce that's there, and that's where you really get that rich sauce versus water. Because we are gonna put some water in this at the end, right before we would plug it in. So, but this here, because my hands are gonna be in this, I'm gonna have to wash after. I'm gonna keep you out of the chicken for now. But you just pack all these in here, and it can be up to the top, because this is gonna cook down. I don't have to do anything to make that work. Let's see if I can squeeze these last two in there. A little high, but we'll be all right. So I gotta wash my hands here because I touched the raw chicken. So I'm gonna have you do the last steps, which is the final spices. Keep my hands off of there. So if you can open up that jar of jalapenos.
Oh boy. So, oh my gosh, we've got onions, we've got curry, we have garlic salt, and now jalapenos. And that's just exactly what they are. Sliced jalapenos. And so what do we do with those?
So one of the good things about the jalapenos is, people don't always know this, is that that's vinegar. Okay, just like pickles.
Sure.
So that's going in.
Oh, the liquid and everything.
That gives you some of that spice and some of that crispness that comes with vinegar. So we're not doing anything special to it. We're throwing it right in the pot. And that's about a third of a jar. I can probably get 3 times is the right amount out of one of them. And so the last one, these are to flavor. And so we're gonna show these, but these aren't going in now. So once this cooks down, it's a little different every time because of the quantities and the type of potatoes and what's there. I'm always gonna put some red pepper, some black pepper, and some curry, but that's gonna be a taste test. Like I'm like, how spicy should it be? So I come home, I try it, and those other spices will go in then. Like if, let's say the curry cooked down from those couple little bricks that we put in there, I add more curry. Let's say it's not spicy, we only had jalapenos,
A little bit more spice.
no red pepper, we put that in. So at this point, I would take this back to the counter, I would add water, and the water is till I see it. I'm not measuring it in cups or something. I'm making sure I got enough water in there to cover basically up to that line of potatoes, and then that's gonna cook down. You'll come back and it'll be much lower.
So you actually add water because doesn't everything kind of liquefy in there, but you do need the liquid.
Yeah, you definitely need some extra liquid.
Right.
This would be too dry. The potatoes tend to absorb.
Oh, okay.
And I wouldn't end up with any real curry sauce because this is served over rice, and you want some liquid to go over the rice and kind of soak into the rice. So it's, I would say just over half is where I can see that line. And once again, if I come home and hey, it's a little thick, I can add water because this isn't coming off the heat just because I got home. So I would add a little more water and adjust it to make it the right consistency because really you're just looking for something that'll pour over rice.
Absolutely.
But at that point, the chicken will be gone. It'll break up, you know, with a spatula. You're not cutting it or doing it. I mean, literally, it'll just break up. And the potatoes, they'll break up with a spoon. I mean, everything will be that tender when you're doing it. And so you can get your consistency right. And like I said, I like to hit a little more a little more spice at that time because it lets me know exactly what I got.
So how long are you going to cook this?
Well, the crock pot comes with multiple settings. If I was in a hurry, I'd put it on high and I'd get it to boil as fast as I could. It would probably take an hour or two to get to that point, and at 4 hours it would be ready to serve. But I typically put it on low and let it sit overnight. And then when I wake up in the morning, the whole house smelled, it's ready, and I know at lunch, hey, I'm gonna be able to get, it's on for lunch. And then what you said with the rice cooker, that's the lunchtime thing because it's so fast. And did you say how much we're using or how much rice is going in?
For the rice, all you use is 2 cups of water and 1 cup of rice, and it's pretty simple. You just plug and play. You plug it in right here.
And it's as simple as click.
Click. And that's it.
That's the rice cooker.
And the thing with the rice cooker is you can make as many cups as you want. So if you're feeding 10 people, you could do 5 cups and 10 things of water. Or if it's me at lunch, I'm just doing a cup of rice and 2. But either way, you have the hot rice right off the thing. It takes 5-10 minutes to cook.
Another good thing, because you mentioned that you do it the night before, and then you wake up and it's ready. And I think that's valuable because you're not tempted to take the lid off while it's cooking, because if you take the lid off while it's cooking, every time you take the lid off, you've got to cook it an extra 15 or 20 minutes. Isn't that interesting? Because it's that sensitive to temperature changes.
And losing the moisture as well. So if I take the lid off, peeking 3 or 5 times.
And you would go, oh, maybe I'll just taste a little bit. No, do not do that.
One time, usually when it's done, I take the top off and I just break everything up. I'm looking some of the potatoes and some of the chicken. I'll break it up. I kind of have a really hard spatula that I use, and it breaks it up real well. And like I said, that's where I adjust how hot it's going to be. Because right now it's really not that hot. Just the curry and that little bit of jalapenos cooking down in that pot for that long.
No?
There won't be much left of the jalapenos and the rest after 8 hours.
Right. So then you add the spices later, because they can get pretty intense.
Correct. And that's part of why I do it later, because if I misjudge it up front, I can't bring it back either. So I've found to do it after is the way to go.
Right. So, I mean, the benefits. Number one, it's very healthy because you don't have to add fat.
Right.
You don't have to add oil or any fat, because everything binds together just because of the heat and the temperature and the length of time. And it's inexpensive. Doesn't take much time. The crock pot itself is pretty inexpensive.
Oh yeah, I think you can get a real nice one for $40.
Yeah, right. And did I say it was easy?
Like you said, if we weren't talking, it would already have been cooking 5-10 minutes. We'd be on our way back to work because it is.
Definitely what airmen are looking for in a dorm.
Precisely, yeah. So it's like if you're busy, and everybody is. I mean, how did you get started? I mean, we talked a little bit before. You know.
I was a single dad.
Okay, so single dad,
and
airmen in dorms.
I had to make
busy mothers
commute that didn't leave time to cook when I would have been eating at 7 o'clock. If DC traffic was really heavy and you get home really late, if that was going in the morning before I left, at least we had something when we got in the door. For us, that was critical. And then later on, like I said, I had some construction friends, 8 or 10 of them that worked together. They ate a lot. So a big crock pot full of food, and this only cost, $10 or something, was critical.
Such a deal.
They would have ate me out of house and home anytime I had them over to the house.
Absolutely. And in the dorms, I mean, look how long you could eat with something like that.
It lasts me for about a week.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah, you could freeze individual portions.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
And you can size it down. I make it to the size of the pot, but if you wanted a smaller portion, you just back off the serving sizes that are going into it. It's not exact. You saw with the seasonings, it's not an exact measure, an exact thing. It's to your taste. And I like stuff spicy, so.
Well, let's
I'll make it pretty spicy.
Let's see how spicy it is. Are you ready to taste? We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we've got some people who are just, let's taste this, So we'll be right back. Welcome back, and we are now ready for the tasting. Chief, are you going to serve us up?
Absolutely, and I mentioned this isn't for the faint of heart, so if you're not into spicy, you've been warned, because this isn't off the chart, but it's definitely...
it's got some kick to it.
It does, so... You'll see a little crushed red pepper and the rest floating in there that I had to add in after.
Okay.
But I'm a huge fan. The other warning is I did mention that we cook it with the bones in.
Yeah.
The bones are large, so you should have no problem, but you need to know that there's bones in there because obviously, if I can get one of those forks to pass this on to my side, thinking I'm going to you. Oh, you already got a fork. So then, all right.
Go ahead.
We got one there.
All right.
Yeah, and I'm going to serve you up too. Are you ready for this? You said you're good with spicy as well, right?
I'm anxious for this reaction. Right. Okay, here we go.
Wow.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Do I see tears?
You see tears.
A little steam coming out the ears. He's forewarned over there.
Had a nice kick, but like Chief said, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
it's not that bad.
The kick isn't bad, but oh man, it's so
there you
good.
go.
Thank you.
And the goal isn't to make it so spicy that you can't taste anything.
Absolutely.
But you know, I'll feel a little on my head. If I did it just right, I'll feel a little as well. You got one there, and I think that leaves one for me.
All right. What do you think down there?
It's delicious.
It's delicious? Is this something that you think you could cook?
I like it. Got your potatoes, your rice, your chicken, all your nutrients you need.
Yeah, and it is.
Absolutely.
It is definitely healthier than a lot of what we eat. You got your carbs, you got your protein, you got you're hitting all the right stuff on there. So.
All the right, and it smells wonderful. If you are interested in learning more about this recipe and more, just log on to lajesfss.com, look for the What's Cooking logo, and you'll find this recipe and more. So thank you, Chief. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Crockpot curry chicken, spicy and hot and wonderful, huh? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks for having me. I hope you enjoy, guys.
I need seconds. Yeah, Chief, this is a great meal. I wouldn't be surprised if I made this later on this week.
Well, and one of the things to it is it makes a lot. And so part of where I started doing this was when we were in the dorm, there was kind of a rotation. You cooked what you were good at. You know, I happened to be good at curry. Guy on the football team, friend of mine, his name was Jay. He made this spaghetti, but it was called Jay-getti because it had all these big chunks like unpeeled tomatoes, half of an Italian sausage, not like normal spaghetti, like huge chunks. But you'd go out, we were a traveling team, so you'd be out all day, you'd come back on the bus and we'd get back and he'd have this huge pot of spaghetti. So we traded. I mean, there's 4 of us in a quad and everybody, you know, different backgrounds or different parts of the country, they all brought something up. There was a guy, Doug Williams, was from Louisiana, from New Orleans. So of course he did all the New Orleans dishes and stuff. So you bring something to the table, you can trade in, you just got to figure out which one is yours, you know, and then you can kind of get in. And plus it makes a lot. You know, you don't want to eat the same thing 6 meals in a row. So if you're trading out, you're kind of getting a lot of different meals out of it instead of, hey, I got to eat curry now for 3 days. So
Got a nice rotation.
Yeah, if you do it, that's the suggestion, is find a way to get a rotation of a couple people who can do it, and then you're always eating something. And you know, it's gym food, it's the right stuff, it's your carbs, your protein, and the rest, and everybody was happy with it. So
Wish I was eating with you guys.
well, you got plenty. I think you got enough opportunities around that you'll find somebody that you'll be able to do it with. So I wish you good luck with that. And you'll have to let me know if this is the dish you use, how well it trades, because I'm a little out of the rotation now. But
I'll be seeing you in the kitchen.
All right, bro.
I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Chief.
All righty.